Hello and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. I'm your host, Steve Smith. As you already know, no doubt, and you're probably wondering, why are you hearing me on a day that's not Thursday? Well, I have a new segment to bring to you, and it's with my partner of the podcast, Australian Turf Analysis, and this segment is called New Technology. This is episode number 43. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, and we're just going to kick something out a little bit differently here. I'm going to start a whole new segment. Why not? Why not throw it in right now? I'm going to do one. I'm going to call it New Technology, and basically what I want that to be something for you to listen to, something for you to hear about is new technology that's coming into the greenkeeping space, coming into maintenance on golf courses, and how that new technology helps us greenkeepers and helps your clubs maintain your golf course better. And all sorts of things are becoming more and more available in the world of technology. So look, it makes sense from where I sit. Why not just start a conversation with our partners of the podcast with Australian Turf Analysis? I've got John Legge on the phone here. Welcome, John.
Hey, mate, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, mate. Thank you for taking the time out to join with me on this brand new segment of the podcast. I'm really interested to pick your brains about this one and hear a bit about your technology because it is quite unique, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's something that's been around for a while, but I think in its early stages it wasn't really, quite up to the job. But in the last few years, as technology has advanced, it's definitely made it. I would say it's reached a level now where, that I'm happy with, where we can actually provide, a good service to, golf courses, race courses, any, sport ovals and things like this, anything that has a large area of turf, and people who maintain that.
Mate, let's just, your Australian Turf Analysis is the business name. And what we're talking about here in the tech world of things is you have a drone service that's an aerial survey service for turf surfaces, for sports turf surfaces. And one of the taglines I know that we've used in your branding on the podcast, for example, is aerial technology for sports turf management. Tell us a little bit about what that means and how your service works with this drone.
Yeah. Okay. So basically what we do is, the reason that using the drone is so beneficial is it obviously covers a large area very quickly. We can go to a good height in the sky and basically cover a large area in a relatively short space of time. So that's why, it is good for larger areas such as golf courses, race courses and things like that. And then what we do is we've actually got a sensor attached to the drone. And that what we do is we plot it. It covers the whole area. And what that does is it actually captures five bands, really, which is blue, green and red. So RGB. It catches red edge and near infrared as well. And so it catches all these different light levels that we don't see, individually. And then it processes all that. It captures all that data. And then what we do is we then process it afterwards. And what it does is it can actually, show you for example, like the photosynthetic activity of the grass, how stressed it is. And it's just basically a great indicator of turf health in general.
So what you're talking about it, and I've been fortunate, I've come out with you and seen you on site doing one of these surveys, and you talk about covering a large space really quickly. I think it was only a couple of hours or maybe not even that you did a whole 18 holes in Western Sydney, southwestern Sydney when I was with you. And I was gobsmacked at the speed that the drone can fly. I thought it would be doing like walking pace, if I'm being honest. I mean, you're talking about capturing the leaf surfaces of the area, and these are different light levels that our human eye can't pick up, really, isn't it? That's sort of what you're capturing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does, and that's what gives us, not only is it quick, and we can do, we basically put in the whole boundary of the area that we want to do, whatever surface it might be.
So I mean, we're talking about the speed of things, and you plot your boundaries. It's all GPS tracked, isn't it? I mean, you on your map of the ground that you're looking to survey, you're able to plot boundaries, so it doesn't read over things. You're not taking a scanning of half of the suburb down the other end of town. It really is very site specific and very calculated in the way that the drone operates. It's almost like it's on some type of autopilot system, I suppose. Is there some sort of technique that how that works?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Obviously, we have to, we're flying the drone and we monitor it and everything else, but it's all pre-programmed. So, for example, if we take, golf course A, we go along to that area and we've got software. We can plot the whole perimeter of that golf course or the area that they want surveyed. And we basically select the parameters. We select the height, where it's going to go, the overlap of the sensor, so that we can get as much information as possible. And then and off it goes. It goes off and does it all itself. Which eliminates any human error. Really, it means that we cover every single inch that has been requested by the client.
And that's part of the thing. Like it would, as much as these things are piloted by yourself, you're a licensed drone pilot. It really is, and this is what I'm trying to, I suppose, get across, having seen it in action, right? And this is the funny part. So, for anyone listening, when you see something like this work, if you get John out to your course to do the service, to get this information for you, so you can see the turf health of your site, you're going to see this thing function in a way that it's so robotic and so specific, and the way that it GPS tracked out is mind-blowing, and how perfectly run the pattern is, and it works on like the most efficient path, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it does. It works it all out itself. So it factors in a lot of different environmental conditions, and then it plots itself essentially, so that it's done as soon as possible. And then obviously, like we were saying before, what it does is it captures all those different bands, and because they're light levels that we can't see, that's what gives us the capability, though that's what gives the drone the capability to actually pick up on the different stress levels and the condition of the course that we actually can't see, with the human eye. So, we'll look at the data afterwards, we'll look at the mapping that it does for us, and we can see areas that, with the human eye would look fine, but you can actually see, may need a little bit of work, or is on its way out, or isn't doing as well as the rest of the course, for whatever reason. And then that can be, that gives us the information, or gives the superintendent the information to make, an actionable decision and manage it accordingly before it becomes an actual problem, or before anyone can actually see it.
And really, like you say, when you're talking about that sort of stuff, we would literally wait for the leaf to start to curl up, to show physical signs. As a superintendent, we know those physical signs to look for. We'll start to see the turf leaf. It might change physically. It might change color. It might start to physically move. It might curl up. It might droop out. We're looking for some of these physical signs and symptoms. That's our skilled, trained eye. But you're talking about different light levels that we're blind to, we can't see. So this NDVI lens that I know I've mentioned as part of, what the capabilities are, the hardware of the drone itself. Tell us a little bit about that lens. This is something we can't just go and pick it up off a shelf and put it on my drone that I got from JB Hi-Fi. I mean, this is some pretty heavy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's been around for a while. It started off in the farming world and for crops and everything else, but then as technology got better, it was a lot more precise, and so could be used for things that I use it for. And basically, so the NDVI, which is normalized difference vegetation index, that basically gives you a health level for essentially every inch of the course. So what it does is it measures the various things, and then it processes it together, but it measures the reflective qualities of the turf, so that knows then how healthy or unhealthy it is. So if you've got, say, a grading of, say, 0 to 1, it'll go, it would say, like, oh, this area of grass is 0.5, this is 0.6, this is 0.7. So it really does go in that level of accuracy of how healthy or stressed that turf is. So you can have a fairway that looks great, but what it'll do is it'll pick up on areas that might look great now, but it won't look great in a week. That's the advantage it gives you. You can study this, you can look at it. It's a very easy to use. It puts it all on a very easy to use, like, digital map for you, and you can actually see, okay, well, that area doesn't look too good, and you can go out and treat that area before it actually becomes a bigger problem that will be more expensive and more time consuming to fix.
Well, I assume, like, when we first got in touch with each other and we were talking about what your service is and this technology and the way that it functions, and I'm sitting there going, how good would it have been when I was superintendent to have something that can identify something I can't see, but it's identifying areas of concern. It really, in a sense, like you said, there are areas that are stressed out. It's not saying what the reason is, but it's saying to you as a superintendent, the areas I think there's red colors if they're of concern to be, unhealthy areas on those maps. We're going to go out there and we're going to look at it, and we might just know that surround coming in from the right-hand side, for example, might have some sort of pest coming in underneath it and damaging the roots. Now, that's not going to take effect for maybe 3 or 4 days, but we can see that from this, and we can get out there and do some physical inspection and go, wow, that's earlier than normal on the calendar. We wouldn't see that for another 2 months or 2 weeks, or do you know what I mean? So I suppose, is that kind of how some people, you've got a number of clients, is that how some people are using your service?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, the superintendent or the turf manager, the track manager, they're the experts. They know their turf and their sports area better than anybody else. So 9 times out of 10, they'll know what the issue is. But what this does is this tells them that the issue's there before the problem happens and before they can see it for themselves, if you know what I mean. So it gives them a head start. It basically, if there's a certain area where they go, okay, well, that doesn't look too great on the survey, and then they'll go, oh, I'll know why, I know why that is. They can make an actionable decision. They can treat it, and then it's never really become an issue. Yep. They haven't waited to see it happen and then go, okay, I'll treat it now and it'll take a week or 2 weeks or however long to fix. They can just, like, nip it in the bud, essentially. So those problems don't become something that's going to affect play or take up their time treating for much longer in the future.
And you can kind of tailor your practices and some of your maintenance strategies and your costs that are attached to using any products to go and deal with these problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tailor them too. It doesn't become a full blanket of the course or whatever the turf surface is to deal with, the 5% chance or concern that it might come in. You can maybe manage things more efficiently, and there in turn you can manage your costs more efficiently. I'm reading all these things into it, mate. Like I said, I don't practice my greenkeeping anymore. I'm not a super, but I can think about how I would have used it, 10, 12 years ago when I was on a golf course, and these are the things that I go, this technology would have been great. Like, I love talking about these new advanced tools that are available to the industry so that, turf managers can get out there and do their jobs better. You've just got the latest and greatest things.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you were saying then about efficiency and, having the whole course there, on your desktop or your laptop or your iPad or whatever you're choosing to use. You can survey the entire area of your course in minutes, and then you can see areas that need, that interest you or highlighted to you. So you can then focus on them. You can zoom in on them. You can take a look. You can look at those areas specifically. There's different on the software that we use and the program that we give to people to, for their accounts. They can specify what areas they want to look at, whenever, 24 hours a day. So when it comes to efficiency, that's one of the big advantages of this software. They really can just look at their whole course in a matter of minutes.
So, okay, let's talk about that. Let's dive into that side of it. Now, you go and conduct a survey. It's going to take a couple of hours thereabouts for you to do it. When I was a superintendent, I'm not that old. Jeez, I tell you what, it feels like I'm talking about new tech when I was a superintendent back in my day.
I think you're younger than me, mate. So
now, I suppose I can think about what we used to do, and if we had an area of concern that was a leaf problem, or we weren't sure if it was a disease issue, we would get leaf tissue samples. We'd have one of our scientific contacts come in. They would do the leaf tissue samples. They take it away, test it. Go and see what pathogen might have been behind it, if it was a disease. But now they've got to grow that out. They've got to then identify what it is. That takes days and days, usually around a week before you get a basic identification of what it is, sort of 4 to 7 days. You're going to do it in a couple of hours. How long before the information is available for a superintendent or turf manager to see it after you complete the survey? Is it going to take us a week to get the info?
No, it's probably usually up on their account by about 6 hours or so.
6 hours. You've done
usually.
So let me just try and understand this, right? I'm talking about a week in my day, and that was 10 years ago. We're down to let's say it was a slightly larger golf course or an odd shape. I don't know what makes it longer. We're going to get it the next day, really?
Yeah. You'll definitely get it the next day. You usually get it in the evening after I've done, on the day that I've done the survey. But by the next morning, you've definitely got it. Some golf courses are definitely trickier than others, down to their shape or the topography of the course. But so the processing might take a little bit longer, but it never takes more than 12 hours to process it. So you'll always have it the next day. It's all there. And the good thing is, that survey is up, it's up there in 12 hours or whatever, but that survey's there for life, it's there forever. So then, all of my clients are, they're regular, they have regular surveys done. And so, they'll log in on the morning and they've got every survey that's ever been done just right there in front of them. They just select it and they can take a look, and so, they can look at the latest one, or they can look at one, then they can compare it to one, let's say 3 months ago or a month ago. If they did some work a month ago and then I did a survey yesterday, they go, oh, okay, let's have a look and let's see how that area is coming along. If they've got a new product that they're trying out, or, they've done some, they've changed like a management plan, they can have a look and go, okay, let's see if this is working or not. And they can compare it, just easily flick between the two surveys and see if it's effective or not, or if they need to change anything, or it definitely takes a lot of guesswork out of it.
It does, and I'm thinking of areas that you can do, you can relieve compaction out of. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking if we've got problem areas of compaction at the end of paths and around exit points of greens and that sort of stuff, just from the stress of wear and foot traffic, you can go out there and attack those areas with an aerating machine of some type. And then you can, after a week after that, you can see that if it's actually done what it needed to do. You're able to then assess what practice you've gone out and completed and say, this has been done. We know it got great results. Now let's go and we can do all our big problem areas because it was effective. I'm just thinking, I used to take photos every 6 months of my golf course. That was my thing. So I'd go around at the same point off of tees and around the greens and take photos to see the turf surfaces. And albeit, it wasn't, I had an old school SLR camera. And like I said, this is 12 years ago, mate. The technology sounds like it's so old. But I would compare year to year. So for me, I'd sit there and go, okay, we're at October, leading in, coming into springtime, obviously, heading into summer, and I know which areas have got off to a great start with spring. And then I'd look at that the previous year and I go, okay, well, in 12 months, we've actually greatly improved those areas because they look so much healthier, and there's other factors that you consider and you assess it based. That's how I would assess some of those longer term plans. But you're saying that you can literally drag up the whole aerial image, aerial photograph of the course that you've done the survey, and flick between 1 and 2, and you're looking at the whole golf course.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
just one.
And that's the thing as well. So you can do that with the data maps that shows you all the health and everything else. But you can also do it. What it also does at the same time is it actually takes high resolution, like standard images as well, and then it stitches all them together. So you've actually got like just, as people would describe it as just a photograph. You've actually got all of those stitched together to show exactly how your course looked as well. So even if you don't go into the data side of things, if you wanted to see, how did my course look from above this time last year, you can just click on it and you can just see there how different it was, or if it's the same, if it's better, if it's worse. You can see where foot traffic has maybe is damaging areas that you're not happy about, or and just see how your management has gone over the last 12 months. You can definitely compare the two, and you can always go back to them. All of that information is always there, just a click of a button.
That's awesome, and that's an online. You mentioned we have an account. If someone uses your service, you create an online. Is it a cloud-based account, secure with all that sort of stuff? Is that how that works?
Yeah,
just log in.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all cloud-based. Like we keep hard copies of everything. So people have got that forever, but it is in a secure cloud. And basically, one of the things I like about it the most is just how easy it is to use. You've got your own accounts, your own like little login on your desktop. You click it, you put in your password, your golf course or whatever it is comes up, and it all the information is there for you. You just click on whatever you want to look at, and it's there constantly. It doesn't take up any space on your hard drive because it just drags it from the server. And that's it. You're good to go. You can look at it. You can look at it online if you're not at your desktop. You can look at it on your iPad. You can look at it on your laptop. It's so easy to use. And one of the other good things, just while we're talking about the accounts, is it's actually got a field report, like a data report ability, like facility. So basically, you just click on it and you can build a detailed report of your entire golf course very, very easily. Basically, it's just got, it's got all the icons that you need there to click on this, click on that, and it just puts them all into an online PDF that you can then just share with anybody. So whether you're reaching out to suppliers or GMs or any stakeholder, really, if you want to share any information with them, rather than having to do walk around courses and tracks and things like that, or if you've got any issues with anything, you can just highlight it on this. A picture paints 1,000 words. It's got all the data. You can put the health data in there as well as photographs that it's taken in there, and you just go click, add it to the field report, and then just click send, and it goes off to whoever you want.
Mate, I honestly, pardon me, I'm just thinking about convenience. I'm thinking about ease of use. You're almost making it simple.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound a bit silly about it, but that all sounds like from a user's point of view, you've made it nice and simple, or to access all the info, to be able to share it around. I'm thinking in my head's going crazy at the moment, mate. I'm thinking about the aerial photograph, the image of vegetation management, to understand how the trees have grown.
Yeah,
over
absolutely.
time.
One of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on, and one of the things that's very important to us, is we're as uncomplicated as possible, without making it sound. We rarely just want to turn up, we do the survey, and that's it. We don't disturb anybody, we don't disturb play. We make sure that all of our parameters are managed so that we don't disturb anybody. Everybody's life can carry on. We get the survey done, we upload it, it's there ready for you the next day, and that's it. We're always obviously there to for advice and to give advice and to help if there's ever any issues. But really, if there's one thing I've learned, superintendents are very busy people. So it's
very true.
Yeah. So we don't want to be an extra inconvenience.
Well, and I'll be honest, that is quite important. I mean, you talk about how busy a super is, and they're always, being pulled from pillar to post, and you're literally managing a lot of things all at once. And to have a tool that you kind of need to baby, it becomes useless without sounding stupid. If we've got to be hands-on with it, and it's arduous and it's complicated, and whilst it might be great for a while, you'll sort of fall out of favor with it. But by the sounds of this, where you come in, like I said, I went and saw how it functioned, saw how it operated. One of the questions I've got is, talk about ease of use. Does it affect, you say you come in to do a survey, you can get the job done. So I'm talking about golf. So say we have a competition on. Do you have to organise to do it on a day when we have no golfers? Because let's face it, post-COVID, most golf courses are pretty busy 7 days a week now. How does that factor in?
Yeah, so we manage it basically. We're fairly breezy in that respect. What we'll do is, we'll contact, the super and say, look, let's say we've got a survey coming up in a week or whatever. We'll always ask, whenever we set up with a golf course anywhere, we always say, look, what are your best days? When you'd prefer us to come, non-comp days and things like that. So we always work around the golf course itself and how busy it is and everything else. But it definitely doesn't, we'll always pick a quieter day, but the golf courses definitely doesn't have to be closed. We manage the way that we fly it and the way that we operate so that it doesn't disturb anybody, and so that, we are within the parameters that we have to keep, but golf can continue playing. That's for us to deal with. We've never had any complaints so far, so it's working well.
So what I'm getting at is, we don't need to make sure, like you said then, you don't need to close the course down for a couple of hours, or we don't need to make sure it's vacant for a survey to be completed. You can come in under your safe operations and your licensing and all those sorts of things to operate. You can still do the survey. One of the other things that jumps into my mind is, obviously we know that there's golf courses nearby airports. I hear, you hear it on the radio, you hear it on TV about drones not being allowed near airports and all this sort of stuff. How does a place like, let's say, Eastlake over at Sydney, or some of I can talk about the eastern suburbs courses because they're near the airport. Are you still allowed to survey those courses? How does that operate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the things that I've noticed is, people love building golf courses near airports.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. I don't know which was there first. I don't know who to blame. But now I've got an aviation background myself, and we've got a good working relationship with CASA. We're all fully licensed, and so if there is a client who wants us to do surveys, and they do fall into an area where we require permission, then we obviously we do our due process. We get all of our permissions in place before we do the surveys, and that's how we do it. Obviously everything we do is authorized by CASA, and and golf courses that need that authorization, then we ensure that we've applied for that before we do the surveys.
Okay, that's cool. So we don't need to we're not going to get, in a panic and have some sort of authority knocking on the front door of the clubhouse going, "You GM over here now." You do all that stuff, and if anyone engages you and they're nearby to an airport, that's all covered. We know that it's all able to function properly, and again, this is what I'm trying to learn, is that it's something else that we don't need to worry about. And I think that's important, that if you're covering that, all of a sudden it's another tick. I'm sitting here as a superintendent going, that's another tick, mate. So these are all positives, and I think these are questions that I'm glad you're answering, because I certainly want to know how these things function, which is great. One of the other things I've got, and I'm just, like I said, mate, I'll keep racking my brain about all sorts of questions to fire off to you. When you do an aerial survey, and we're talking about the turf surfaces, I'm curious, do the trees get in the way of that data collection about the turf health? Is that, the tree canopies, are we still going to see, because there are a lot of courses out there that have good, I suppose there are a lot of tree vegetation around the golf course and on the edges of fairways. Does that interrupt much of the surveying?
No, not at all. I think every golf course I do has got a lot of trees in it, and no, if anything, you just see the health of the trees as well. You can see how well the trees are doing. And you can also compare your canopy covers over time as well. So when that comes to tree management on your course, that's another plus for the surveys. Really, you can really see before and afters on those as well. It doesn't interrupt the data at all. No.
That's cool, and I'm thinking about how I would in my time use it. Like I keep saying, it would be. I'm assuming it would be used quite well to show areas. Like if I'm a superintendent, I've been banging on about a space on the golf course that's just deteriorating. Small bits at a time. Month after month, to the point where my committee that I'm talking to or the board aren't quite out there as much as I am to see an area of deterioration, for example. I can use the images and the data from the surveying to say, hey guys, you can see clearly over this time frame that you might have you might have done 4 surveys or something, for example, and you can show them physically. Like you said earlier, picture paints tells 1,000. I don't even know the saying anymore. Picture tells 1,000 words, and Is that how you could use it as well? Is that something that people use it for, to show physically what's going on?
Yeah, no, like there's been a couple of times, that I know of. I'm sure it's been more actually, but from feedback I've had from some clients, I know that people have definitely used this information to get, whether it be requests for repairs, or requests for, removals of trees and things like this. That they've definitely used that data to finally get it across the line. They've been asking for something for, months or years, and, it's always kind of been knocked back. But then when people are presented with, the scientific data and also the pictures and everything else, and you can say, look, this is, you want us to show why we, if they want to show why they want to do this, they can go look over the last 6 months. This, we can show you the data, we can show you the images, and we can explain to you much easier, really, why we want to take these actions that we're requesting. And like I say, twice that I know of, it's actually managed to get quite big decisions across the line. One was to council and one was to a GM. So that's really helped them as well. Yeah.
And ultimately, it becomes backing up that recommendation from the superintendent or whoever it might be, to say, this is the backup data, this is the backup information that you guys need to get it across the line for the membership or for whatever it might be. You're not spending money just going, oh, look, we're pretty confident that's what's going on, but you can sit there and the hard facts are there. You can go, this is what's going on, guys. You can see clearly this is the result. So I think that's very important and extremely useful to golf clubs and superintendents as well in that sort of side of it. Now, one thing that we have spoken about, I think, in the past, mate, is that it can capture levels like contours. Is that something that you can do with the technology as well?
Yeah, we can. If people request it, then it will do an elevation map of the course as well. Or of whatever area it is. That's just a little add-on that we can, we basically, if somebody says, look, mate, can we have an elevation map this week as well? Then we literally just select that, and then it does it all at the same time. And then when you log on and look at that survey, there'll just be another box saying elevation levels, and you click on that and there'll be an elevation map of the course.
Because I think, I'm thinking about, future changes to golf courses as they choose to improve their course. They might, want to get someone in to do a master planning, or they might want to do it themselves, or whatever it might be. I'm just thinking of golf course construction as well. And in terms of that side of things, you can get a contour or elevation plan of the site. And that it's helpful for other things just the same. And you can even look at, how steep areas are or how flat they are, and deal with water management, surface runoff and where it's channeled to and all that sort of stuff as well. Look, mate, there's multiple uses that are coming out of this. I'm really excited, and I was when we first spoke, this diving into what your services are and how they function, and the details of how it works, and the information that the users or the clients will get at the end of it, I think is great to get those answers, because I've been wanting to pick your brains about it, and I'm glad that now we've sort of opened that side of it up, mate. So it's really interesting, really insightful, and for me, drones are they're new. They are new tech. It's not And it's important, I think, to point out that, this isn't my $150 drone that I got from JB here in the garage, at home. It's certainly, there's so much more to this technology. It is the top end of the spectrum, and, it correlates with all that software you've got in the background and how it produces all that data. There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it's obviously it is high tech equipment. It is top end, but it's at the stage now, and that's why we were recommended by people in the industry that we should start doing it. It's reached that point now where the technology is there, so that the information that people get is so accurate. It's so quick to get, and it's reached that point as well where it's easy to use. For the user, for the client. It's not, you're not just given a load of graphs or something that you don't really want to have to go through and everything else. It's all there. It's images. It's data maps. So it's reached that level now where it is very user friendly, yet highly accurate.
No, mate, very, very important. Like I've mentioned a couple of times, I think if it's easy to use and you're reasonably fast in and out getting the survey done, you spit the information out to us the next day, for example, all these things add up to a great service. Mate, tell us, you're going to have to tell us about where do you go, what areas are you servicing, who can get access to Australian turf analysis? Where do you go to?
Oh, I'd say everywhere, really. We're fairly ambitious, and we don't mind reaching out. Like we've just starting to reach out to South Australia as well as New South Wales. The good thing is we're very cost effective, so it's and that works both ways. So it's not too difficult for us to reach out to other people further than just Sydney and New South Wales.
And of course, every site is unique, and I'm sure the quotes to survey a golf course is unique. But you talk about being cost effective. This is something that's not. You're not just. This isn't something that's a service that's only going to be available to the Group 1 courses with the large membership, closed gates, exclusive golf courses with too much cash. This is something that you talk about being cost effective. Your service is available to any level golf course, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think the best way to say it is, I think people are very pleasantly surprised when they find out, how much this will cost them now.
And that, look, that's probably enough said. Maybe it's just a case of getting people to get in touch with you, mate. We just get in touch with you. How do we get hold of you, mate? I've talked about it in the podcast advertisements that I have for you, being a partner of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast at AustralianTurfAnalysis.com. Is that the best way to get in touch with you, through the website?
Yeah, just go onto the website, and our email address is there as well as a phone number. Just give us a call and we can have a chat about it. There's no commitment, there's no anything like that. Just give us a call and then see if it's something that people are interested in.
Fantastic, mate. Look, John, it's been so insightful talking about this new technology. This is stuff that's, I don't like saying cutting edge in the world of greenkeeping. That's such a terrible way of saying it, but it is really that sort of leading edge stuff of new technology, drones out, surveying turf health with different lenses and the like, mate. It's been really insightful. I appreciate your time coming on, and I hope that those listening, that all you guys out there, be it from the greenkeeping side, from the golf side, from club side, you've got a sense of some of this new stuff that's available for your clubs to get access to deliver a better product and to manage your golf course better. So John Legge from Australian Turf Analysis, thank you very much for being on the podcast, mate. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on, mate.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What an interesting little conversation that was with John Legge from Australian Turf Analysis. And that's the first interview for the new segment of new technology that I wanted to bring into the podcast. It's something that there's so much new technology out there, whether we're talking machinery, we're talking aerial surveys or turf health analysis, or there's different products available, whether it be fertilizers or different chemicals around. And there's a whole heap of new science and technology that's involved in all of these different things. that are available to greenkeepers and superintendents out there. This segment, I want to be able to bring that to you as an audience, and some of it's going to interest some people and some of it's going to interest other people. So it's just a way to show you what's out there and available and how much there is new research and new development into technology that's available into greenkeeping, and ultimately how we maintain golf courses. So there you go, guys. Look, as always, I do say like, share, subscribe of the podcast, and if you did subscribe, that's why you got the notification that this segment was thrown into a new day of the week, and I'm going to be bringing to you some more content, some more information, some more segments of the podcast, some more things for you to listen to for your ears to get an understanding about golf, greenkeeping, and architecture. And there's going to be some new bits and pieces come out, so it's not just going to be on Thursdays. If you do subscribe, you'll get the notifications to let you know when I've got some more podcasts coming out. So stay tuned, stay up to date. Like I say, please like, share, subscribe. And as always, do pass it around, and please leave me a comment and a review, because I do love to hear it. So, and feel free to get in touch with me on social media as well. Thank you very much for listening, guys. As always, you hit them clean, we'll keep them green. And I've got a new episode coming at you on Thursday.